Hey, I'm Eden Marie.
And I'm Cameron.
And we're going to be going through some fun coffee hacks and weird brewing methods that we've concocted. Today we're going to be starting with the French press, which I think is probably one of the most recognizable brewing devices. What would you say? When's the first time you saw a French press?
Probably in my mom's kitchen. Second to, the percolator.
The percolator and the French press. Where's the French press from? Is it from France?
I assume.
It's a little confusing. So the original patent was in 1929 from an Italian gentleman, I believe. But rumor has it that a bunch of different countries had their own version of the French press. So some with like a mesh filter, which is kind of similar to what we're going to be using today.
Some with cheesecloth.
Some with cheesecloth,
Yes.
which is a porous cloth made for making cheeses. But now the most traditional design that people are going to be familiar with is actually from a company called Bodum, B-U-D-U-M. Spelling out loud is hard. But you may be familiar with this. It has the glass kind of...
It has the name on the side there.
Oh, there's a reference.
It's a reference right
Cheat
there.
sheet. We're gonna go ahead and just jump right into brewing this guy. So one of the easiest brewing methods, I think, you're just literally dumping coffee and water into a jar. We are gonna be using a scale because we're super nerds, but really that's just a way of measuring. So instead of doing it by volume, we're gonna be doing it by weight, and it's gonna be totally perfect. So how much coffee are we going to use?
I do believe we're using 45 grams of coffee. Yield 765.
765. Generally how we come up with that is we decide, one, how much coffee do we want to drink. We'll start with our coffee dose, and we multiply it by anywhere from like 16 to 17 to understand how much water we want to use. So that's the coffee to water ratio. So we're going for like a 1 to close to 17 ratio here. We're going to be adding the coffee right to the bottom of the beaker. Let's talk about...
First off, you got to preheat your French press.
You always have to preheat your brewing vessel.
Oh man, almost good.
Luckily he already did that.
I already did that.
We're professionals. So what does preheating do? Why is that important?
Heat retention is important. If you pour hot water and coffee into a cold vessel, you'll shock your coffee.
Shock your coffee, all that awesome hot water you just made is gonna be like hanging out with your vessel and not with the coffee. So always preheat. We have it on the scale. Once I put my coffee in there, I am going to tear it out. That way we're just looking at how much water we're adding. So once he's in there, I shook it a little bit, make sure the coffee bed is all settled so it's gonna be even. And then Sir Cameron is gonna add the water.
Okay, ready?
I'm ready, I'm nervous.
Timer?
I'm in charge of timer.
And go.
I did it.
You did it. Oh.
Talk about your water adding methodology.
Well, you usually want to saturate all your coffee at one time.
Yeah, so what we did, we had some like big dry islands of coffee coming up, so he just sank that. Make sure it's all in there, even, chillaxing. So he's adding all the water. Now, normally, you just put on the French press's hat, you'd hang out for 4 to 6 minutes, plunge it, drink it. I like to overcomplicate things, and I'll tell you why. What you're gonna see at about a minute after he's added all the water, a crust forms, which is basically coffee grounds that are kind of trapped at the surface. When this crust forms, there's gonna be a little bit of like gas in there, and then I also like to believe that there's some coffee grinds hanging out in there, hiding from the water. So I wanna uncover them, bust them so they have to brew. So I have a paddle from actually another brewer, anything would work, back of a spoon spatula, and I'm going to just bunny hop gently and break up that crust. So you can see how it kind of turned into a light foam. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put on his hat and let it hang out for the rest of the brewing cycle. The reason I bunny hop and not stir is because I don't want that whole slurry of coffee and water to keep agitating afterwards. That may be really nitpicky.
A little bit.
And maybe I just like bunnies, but hey, it works, right?
And now we wait.
How long? How long?
6 minutes. 6 long minutes.
Okay.
We're at minute 40, so.
We have 4 minutes.
To do anything.
Possibilities are endless. I'm bored already. Let's go.
That's it. It's painful already. It's like 2 seconds. A key step to a good coffee is a mouthful of yogurt.
And having coffee while you brew your coffee.
4 minutes.
4 minutes?
Just kidding.
That actually went fast.
3:40.
Jesus.
Bye.
The time has come.
To pour the coffee.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so explain to me the really complicated procedure on how we get the coffee out of said French press. So like the plunger's holding back all the coffee grinds down in the bottom of this. You don't really want that in your cup. I think we have to try it.
Let's go for it. Let's do it.
It could be finessed.
Yes. Fine tuning a little bit.
French press is one of those like super low maintenance brewers. You can plop on the counter, get it going, have your busy morning happening. So hopefully you get the overall gist of how to make it happen. Thanks for stopping by, Taste Buddies.